You turn my mourning into dancing. You turn my mourning into dancing. You turn my mourning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love. Something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. You turn my mourning into dancing. 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 Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything.
And Ryan from the Ministries, pleasure to be with you this morning. It's Friday. I'm coming to you where there's a thing called the Sun I get to see in Nashville, Tennessee, at Dave Ramsey's headquarters. They're taking a show today and an event this evening, and so I thought, what better place to bring you into this conversation. I thought actually something cool is I'm sitting right outside of their little cafe, kind of the team eating area, and you see these people walking behind me. They're all in the security part to go to work, and this behind me is a little prayer they all say on the way to work. And they kind of go back there to kind of get their heart rate and keep themselves refocused. So if you can't read it, so Lord, prepare our hearts for battle today, so that we may be about your business. Part of what I love about coming here is how unapologetic they are about living the faith. So many cool things, but that's just one of those things that I think it's the same spirit we have being here, doing devotions each morning. Is that we can go to our day, whether it's a work day or a school day or day around the house or whatever it is that we have going on in our lives. We're here to kind of recenter and focus. And a great way to see that happening. And there's all kinds of stuff. I could take you on a walking tour, but I would encourage you to come here sometime to see for yourself instead. So we're reading in Joshua, and we're in the story of Rahab, right? And Rahab, one of these great stories of faith, putting ourselves totally at risk because of faithfulness alone, right? Obviously, I don't want to give away the story for Monday, but Rahab putting herself and her family at great risk and asking for significant things in return is some kind of a guarantee for safety for the family. But what a way to think about when we get our mind back about what God gives us and what we're willing to give in return. So, continuing from Yesterday's reading, before the spies lay down for the night, she went and said to them, I know that the Lord has given you this land, and that a great fear of you has fallen upon us, so that all who live in this country are melted in fear because of you. We have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did. The two kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, whom you completely destroyed. When we heard of it, our hearts melted in fear, and everyone's courage failed because of you. For the Lord your God is in heaven above and on earth below. Now then, please swear to me by the Lord that you will show kindness to my family, because I have done kindness to you. Give me a sure sign that you will spare the lives of my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and that you will save us from death. Our lives for your lives, the men assured her. If you don't tell me what you're doing, we'll treat you kindly and faithfully. And the Lord gives us the land. We often think some of these things we want, these readings we do, how would I react? How would I react if I were this? And of course, we have the benefit of hindsight. I knew what I knew now. And I had the luxury of being a disciple. How different would life be? Being them the way they acted, right? How would I act if I kept seeing and hearing and knowing all these stories of the way that God showed up and annihilated the enemies of his people? And here I am seeing his enemies coming toward this city. And they're declaring that God's on their side. And if I know what's happened to the other civilizations before mine who were not on God's side, how would I act? Would I be the quote unquote traitor to my land? Well, I want you to really think about what she's putting at risk, and think about how much faith that takes in all of it being true, right? And I think this is before Jesus came and fulfilled the prophecy and redeemed. It's before that death over life brought the proof, right? This was just of redemption, stories of deliverance passed down to people at that time. But she knew in her heart that it was true, and she knew when he came calling his way. I think sometimes we miss stuff like that. We miss how big it is, and how many times are we confronted with the challenge, right? The challenge to keep ourselves refreshed, to say, look at all these things that God does. Whether it's a negative motivation or a positive motivation, right? Look at all that he does for me. Therefore, I'm going to live joyfully. I'm going to live, with a heart of service, whatever that might be. Or look what he does to all the people that stand in his way. I'm going to be that guy, right? And if I believe him enough, I'm not going to stand in his way. And what am I doing with it that might be standing in his way, right? Obsess about that, become perfectionist and all that. That's not where we're going, but just to kind of sit and think for a moment, right? Sit, put yourself in the shoes. Are you able to articulate, just like she did? I know that God brought your people out of Egypt, out of slavery, and took you here. I know what that means to be free from slavery. I know that he has authority, right? How often have I been afraid to speak? Yeah, I'm sure that God's active. when standing up for what's right, runs through a calculation in my head that it's too difficult. It's too time consuming. It's not worth it. Right? Instead of just living in this truth. I know that's not the way it's supposed to be. I know that there's certain things that just matter. So that's just where I want to help you be today, gentlemen. Just be thinking about, Paul talks about always having a defense of our faith, right? Always being ready to give an account. So that challenge is kind of always there in the back. Okay. Are all these stories, all the things we're talking about of the history of God's faithfulness, God's deliverance, and stories, do they matter? Do they impact your daily decisions, your daily life? Because we know it's completely overwhelming to sit in the presence of God and to honestly address what all of that truth and faithfulness really means. It can be intimidating. But it's the convenience of this life taking us away from feeling strong about defending it, feeling strong, being able to put that story of our faith together. Anyway, gentlemen, don't mean to challenge you. I mean it to be uplifting. That you have something incredibly positive inside of you to share, to serve, to uplift others. Proverbs says that those who refresh others will they themselves be refreshed. And that's just the image I love. And I think we should be refreshing others all the time. But just like when you're in an airplane and they tell you to put the child's mask on first, or I'm sorry, put your mask on first before helping the child, because you can't do anything if you're not breathing. You can't refresh others if you're not refreshed, if you're not being refreshed. So come to that fountain, ask for that living water, express that faith for your Father at the foot of the cross and ask Him, refresh me. Bless me so that I may be a blessing. Refresh me so that I may be a refresher to others. What a great way to serve our families and our community. All right, man, I love you. I hope you have a great day. I really do. I hope this weekend has some good things in store for you. I'm going to be traveling a bunch. I'm actually hitting 3 other cities this weekend on this little tour I'm on. So I look forward to seeing you maybe Sunday morning, sometime soon. But let's make it a great day and a firmly rooted day. And may someone see Jesus in us today. Peace.